We're going to go ahead and switch gears from what we did last time. So just as a reminder, last time, I'm going to show what we did. If you look at the types of problems we did last time, there were always two terms that at least had an x. So like number 4, the x squared, and the 3x, both of those had x's. So right here. If you look at this one, at least two terms had x's, okay? And then this one, at least two terms had an x, right? So that's going to be different today. You'll notice that only a single term has an x. And if that's the case, you're going to kind of treat it like solving any normal equation where you get the x by itself and move everything over to the other side. So in this case, we're getting x squared by itself, which it is. Once it's by itself, you get rid of the square by taking the square root. Those cancel each other out, and you're left with just x. Now, when you physically take a square root, you always need to remember that there's a plus or minus, or positive and negative answer that works. So if you put square root of 25 in your calculator, it'll only give you the 5. So you just have to put the little plus or minus symbol in front. So what this is saying is our answer is either x equals 5 or x equals negative 5. So you can write it either way, okay? Let's go ahead and do another one. So this one, x squared minus 9, once again, notice that there's only one term that has an x. If that's the case, we're going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides. You end up with x squared equals positive 9, just like we'd be solving an equation. And now we're going to take the square root of both sides. And don't forget the little plus or minus in front. So these cancel out. You have x. And then you have a little plus or minus 3, because the square root of 9 is 3. And once again, you can write it as x equals 3 and x equals negative 3, or you can just keep it like this, which I like to because it's the shorthand. Okay, next problem. Once again, there's only one term that has an x squared, but this time there's a coefficient in front. If there's a coefficient, you're going to go ahead and divide both sides by that coefficient. That way you have x squared equals, and then you just figure out what negative 48 divided by negative 3 is. That's positive 16. And now we can get rid of the square by taking the square root. Just don't forget the plus or minus in front. So you have x equals plus or minus, or positive or negative, and square root of 16 is 4. All right, let's do a little more complicated. Same idea. So we're trying to get the x squared alone, so we'll subtract 11 from both sides. So 5x squared equals 5. And then, so you always move addition or subtraction over first. Then you divide by the coefficient in front of the x squared. So x squared equals 1. And then we can get rid of the square by taking the square root of both sides. And remember the plus or minus in front. So we get positive or negative 1 in this case. Square root of 1 is 1.